Hey everyone, Tactics here with another Mythic Abberus boss guide, this time going over one of my favorite fights in the entire raid, RASHOK the Elder. In this video, I'll be going over all of the changes to this fight moving from Heroic to Mythic difficulty, how we handled them in our group, and then I'll walk you through our very first kill of the boss as well. Let's not waste any time though, and to start off, let's talk a little bit about the very important new mechanic coming in this boss fight on Mythic difficulty, Unleash Shadow Flame. Basically, this is a small raid hit that will spawn a couple orbs, as you can see here on the screen, one up here and one up here. And basically these orbs will explode after about 15 seconds. And when they do, they'll deal another small hit to the entire raid, amplified by 2000% if you're hit by multiple orb explosions. And then this will also apply a pretty significant healing absorb to the entire raid you need to heal off. Basically what this means is you need to get rid of one of these orbs every time a pair of them comes out, otherwise you die, and you do that by hitting them with this Searing Slam circle. This means that the location of those lava vortexes left behind by the Searing Slam is somewhat random from pull to pull here, depending on, of course, where these orbs are spawning. And a big portion of kind of the difficulty on this fight is making sure that the player targeted by that Searing Slam picks the best Shadow Flame orb to eliminate, such that the positioning of your lava vortexes is good. And I'll go through that logic here in a bit when we walk through the actual fight itself. The only other change on this fight is to the Charge Smash Group Soak ability, where the overcharge debuff no longer expires. So the only way to remove it is either immune it off of yourself or to touch the Elder's Conduit in the center of the room. And if you do that, then it'll deal a hit of damage to the entire raid. So you basically, what we did anyways, is we split our raid into 4 groups here, and we cleared them one group at a time, just in quick succession after every single charge smash. Know that I believe you don't actually need everyone in your entire raid to soak every charge smash to stop the energy gain from the boss, but of course an important thing is the actual damage to the individual players, which having additional people in reduces, because it is a pretty scary overlap as the orbs detonate and apply that healing absorb to players around the same time as that charge smash. So that's kind of where you want healing to these, and that's kind of why we put everyone in the entire raid in those soaks, even though we didn't need to, just reduce that damage a bit, and in case we have like people dead, someone accidentally steps out of the soak, etc., anything like that. So that's why entire raid soaked, split into 4 groups, and individually those groups would then touch the center of the arena to clear those stacks. Other than that, this fight is pretty much the same as Heroic, so let's go through it here. We'll talk through Searing Slam stuff, we'll talk through boss positioning, which can be very important. So off the top here, we pull to the wall just behind where RASHOK is, and that's just to try and get our first Shadow Flame orbs around this area, and we're going to rotate around the room clockwise here. So this is just the least amount of movement, and basically you're going to see here the orbs are going to come out in a second. There's the hit, one orb here, and basically because we're rotating clockwise around the room, we're always going to favor things that are over on this side of the boss here, and rotating around the room and towards the wall is also something that is very good. So for example here, we're going to be rotating because that one's closer to purple, that's going to be further away from us as we rotate. And the very important thing is you only need to touch these with the very edge of the circle. That wasn't quite far enough back. You only need to touch the very edge of the circle. If your circle of the Searing Slam is touching the circle of the orb, that is enough to trigger it, right? Because you could do a full overlap like this. That's not necessary. And so you can position better, as you can see, is moving slightly that way a little bit more, just so that the circles are just going to clip. And you can go even further than that, right? Just as long as the circles are barely clipping, it will hit the orb, it'll detonate the orb, and that's where it'll spawn the actual lava vortex. So you can use that to your advantage to get better positioning. Notice that after that slam, we always will then pull to the range stack towards the center of the room, because he's going to slam and then he's going to do a charge smash. So after we do that slam, we pull the boss to the center of the room here, put the soak right on top of the range. It's always targeted in front of the boss so tanks can control it. And then this is where we start doing our soaks, 4 sets of clears, and it's always the melee are prioritized in the earlier soaks, just for boss uptime again. They can just step to the side, and then we're going to slowly be dragging the boss towards the edge just a little bit here to try and bait soaks against the walls a little bit, just so that they're more clustered versus being spread out through the entire middle of this room. And one thing to note too, as a paladin here, we do bubble taunt the first tank combo of every phase, I guess, because if you count like the beginning part, and then there's the intermission where he's in the center channeling, and then the beginning part repeats, kind of that's what the phases are. And so we will be able to bubble taunt every phase here at the beginning. And so I basically bubble taunt after the first charge smash to get rid of my soak so I don't need to soak. And then I also to eat this entire full combo by myself and take just a couple steps towards the wall here. Again, trying to cluster those soaks coming out here so they're not down the entire center of the room here. Soaks come out. See, we get a bunch against this wall. That's ideal. And we'll just kind of step in and soak those, followed by the next tank combo there. And then again, same deal here. You're going to get the orbs into a leap, into a charge smash. And so basically there are the orbs. It's a really, really good spawn here. So we're probably going to have someone go and take that one. There's the smash, boom, pulls it to the edge, hugs the wall there to try and get it as far away as possible. We're going towards the middle. Again, right on top of the range stack. Charge smash is going to go out here, and we're all going to soak it. The orb detonates, putting the healing absorb on everyone, and again, soaking in quick succession. Same thing to note here, tanks kind of don't really soak with any group. We either, as a paladin, I'll immune it off whenever I have my immune, or otherwise you're going to see me soak relatively late here. Usually, it's just kind of whenever tanks get the opportunity to soak, because they can hold on to their dot for a decent amount of time. So tanks, focus more on boss positioning and kind of clear when you can. Now, there is going to be another tank combo here. One more set of orbs and leap. This is the third leap. There's always 3 leaps, so 3 sets of orbs per phase here. This last orb set does not come with a smash after it. So basically, and there's also no soaks here. There's only 1 set of soaks per phase. So that's why we're going to AFK in the middle of the room here and leave the boss here just for uptime. And so this smash, or the Searing Slam is going to happen here. The orb spawn, that's going to be the best one. You can see the positioning here, right? In the corner on the wall, barely clipping that circle just to get a good positioning on that vortex. Now, of course, we're going to dodge the Shadow Blast, and we're going to milk as long as we can here. You can do 98, 99 energy if you can. Basically, you can start moving as soon as it ticks 97 and move. Boom, 99 energy. And that's how you get him in at 99 energy every time. You want to move at around 97, position him right next to it. And then this is just the intermission here. You're dancing. The damage kind of ramps up over the course of this fight. But the phase, every single boss phase is exactly like that first one I just mentioned. So it'll go orbs with a slam, into the raid soak smash, into the soaks that you have to do, into another spawn of the Shadow Flame orbs with a smash, into the raid soak again, into another spawn of the orbs and the slam, into the cone, into the intermission. So every single boss fight or boss phase is that way. You just need to be slowly rotating around the room. So let's look a little bit more on soaks now, because the positioning is exactly the same. I guess pulling out of the intermission, maybe don't pull too aggressively to the edge of the room here. You want your melee to be able to have uptime still. So you see the pulls are not too fast, going to the edge of the room here, and there it is. And so we have a couple choices here. I don't think either of these are actually bad choices. Going over here lets you cluster, and that's probably what we do. So you go over here, and then let's just keep the fires coming from the same direction. And so that's the benefit here. Be very, very careful not to overlap your circle. Just like how if you barely touch any of the Shadow Flame orbs with your circle, it'll destroy them. If you barely touch any of these other vortexes with your circle, you will all instantly die. So the goal here is to just cluster as many as we can in the same area to keep the fire coming from the same direction. And then aside from that priority, the next best priority is to put things against the wall. Again, just giving you time to avoid things. As always, charge smashes always come back towards the center of the room just to make it easier for range to soak, make them move less. That's the priority. First tank combo of the phase, I'm immuning it. Little slowly stepping towards the edge of the room to try and bait all of these soaks again towards this side of the room and not in the middle. Again, look at all these ones over here. Nothing in the middle. If you'd stayed in the middle, you could get them all over the place. That's why you pull slightly to one side. And again, it's just kind of repeating here. Here's another set of Mythic orbs. This one is exceptionally dangerous to do to the point where it's actually maybe not worth it. Yeah, we're going to just go over here. That one's so dangerous. So like doing this is good. That one is kind of greedy. Like, yes, you could position yourself such that you're barely touching it on the one side, but it's very dangerous. It's not even too hard. It's just like, it's not worth it, really. It's like a very small thing where our dodges are going to be a little bit more slightly problematic because we opted here, but it does follow that second rule of being far against a wall, right? And we're going to end up being over in this corner by the end of the fight anyways, so it's not too bad filling up this entire wall kind of as well. But again, from here, it's just kind of repetitive, right? Intermission's the same, boss phases are the same. The only difference here is in the last boss phase. So after this next intermission, the center is disabled. You cannot soak anymore on it, that the debuff from the group raid soak. So you just kind of have to hold your dot stacks or immune them off. So saving immunities for something like that is really good. And another thing is later on in this fight, committing externals or immunities to the actual players targeted by the slam leaps is very, very good. Spell warding if you don't need it for a healer CD, which is a common use. Spell warding like a Resto Druid in Trank or a Holy Priest in Divine Hymn. If you don't need it for that, you can use spell warding on a slam soaker, or a slam player rather, the one targeted by it, because these later slams of course hit very, very hard compared to the earlier ones. This is a rogue, so he's fine cloaking. So he doesn't need like a spell warding, but that's just something you can use. Externals great for those players as well, just because these later slams do hurt a lot. Good parts for rally, good parts for the aura mastery, devotion aura, that kind of thing. Any DRs, obviously AMZs, barriers on these soaks as well can be quite useful into the slam. So those kind of things you want to be wary of later on in the fight as those slams ramp up. But otherwise, it is just repetitive. And as you can see, of course, we soak that slam. No one's going to the middle to soak, because you cannot soak on that cracked conduit in the center of the room. But there it is, guys. Hopefully this guide helps you down RASHOK, and if it does, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more content like it, including mythic boss guides for every single encounter in this raid. If you have any questions, feel free to drop those down in the comments below, or you can always stop by my Twitch channel as well at Tactics over on Twitch, so come stop by and say hi. Big thank you to all of my subscribers over on Patreon. Your support really does mean a lot to me, and I appreciate every one of you. Otherwise, thanks everyone else so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.